You are driving again. You do not remember when you left the house. Your hands are on the steering wheel. Your eyes blink at intervals. Your foot presses the pedal. You change lanes. You glance at signs. A song is playing. You vaguely know where you're going. But if I stop you now and ask, at what precise moment did you begin to drive? What were you thinking when you turned the key? What thoughts passed through your mind in the last minute? You will not be able to answer. You are not here. You are a machine in motion, wrapped in the illusion of being someone present. This is your life, not just now, but almost always. You move through rooms, streets, conversations, obligations, like a sleepwalker acting out a script written long ago. You believe you are awake because your eyes are open, because you can speak, because you can choose between coffee and tea. But I tell you, you are in a trance. You live as if in a dream so continuous, you no longer recognize it as sleep. You are offended by this, perhaps. You feel a quiet protest arise. I know what I'm doing. I make my choices. I have my life. Good. Let that protest speak. But listen more carefully. How many of your words, your gestures, your preferences are truly your own? How many are repetitions, imitations, automatic reactions triggered by the slightest touch from outside? Think of today. You woke up. Did you wake, or did your body simply move out of a lying position into standing while your mind continued drifting in inner fog? You checked your phone. Did you decide to do this, or did your hand reach for it before any conscious decision appeared? You opened a familiar app. Did you choose, or did your thumb follow a groove cut by 1,000 identical mornings? You started your day already captive. All day long you forget yourself. You talk. And while you talk, half of your attention drifts into fantasies, into rehearsed arguments, into anxieties about what comes next. You eat and barely taste. You walk and barely feel the ground under your feet. You look at people and see only your projections of them, not the actual beings in front of you. You are so used to this that it seems normal. It is not normal. It is a prison. You have accepted a life of waking sleep and call it me. You believe there is one continuous I living this life. You say, I decided, I want, I don't want, I will not. You speak as if there is a single solid one behind all these decisions, but look more honestly. Is this so? Remember all the times you made a promise to yourself. I will wake up early tomorrow and start changing my life. I will stop wasting time. I will not call that person again. I will speak calmly next time and not explode. One I in you, full of enthusiasm, makes these noble declarations. It believes itself. It calls itself me. Then a day passes, or even an hour, and another I appears, lazy, anxious, wounded, craving comfort. It takes over your mouth, your hands, your choices. It cancels the vow without even acknowledging that another part of you had decided differently. Later, a third I appears, full of guilt and self-hatred. Why am I like this? What is wrong with me? Then it too disappears. Where is the single continuous you? You are not one. You are a crowd, a shifting assembly of voices, impulses, fears, poses, copied attitudes. Each one, when it appears, calls itself I and speaks as if it rules all. But it rules only for a moment until another one replaces it. This is why your life is contradiction. This is why you cannot keep your own word to yourself. This is why you wake each morning with a faint taste of betrayal you cannot explain. You do not belong to yourself. You belong to whatever I has seized the inner stage in that moment. You are an inner parliament without a king. And the so-called you that walks in the world is not even made of this chaos alone. Over this crowd, there is a mask, a carefully constructed costume, what I will call your false personality. This is the one you think you are. It is built from your parents' expectations, your culture's demands, your childhood fears, your compensations, your fantasies about who you wish others believed you to be. It is armor and disguise at once. Notice how you protect this mask. A stranger's glance, a small criticism, a slight disagreement, these can disturb you for hours because they threaten the image you have of yourself. You rush to defend it, to polish it, to repair the cracks. You will lie, gossip, exaggerate, betray your own deeper needs, all to keep that image intact. This is slavery, not to a dictator outside, but to a constructed figure inside. As long as you mistake this mask for your essence, you cannot awaken. Everything that could truly help you, you interpret as an attack. Any friction that could make you more conscious, your false personality rejects as insult or injustice. You cling to what is killing you and push away what could free you. Do you begin to feel the taste of your situation? You live in waking sleep, run by a ob of conflicting eyes, wearing a mask that resists any attempt at truth. And beneath all this, you dare to believe you are free. You are not free, you are programmable, you are predictable to anyone who understands the mechanisms. Your reactions, your triggers, your pleasures, your avoidances, they obey patterns like any machine. Press one button, you become angry. Press another, you become afraid. Show you a certain image you desire. Give you a dose of praise, you glow. Withdraw it, you collapse. Your entire inner life is a network of conditioned responses. This is why your existence can be used. You are food for forces you do not see. Your unconscious suffering sustains movements in the world that are larger than you can imagine. Passions are stirred in crowds. Fears are amplified through images and words. People are set against one another. All of this plays on the mechanical tendencies in you, in humanity at large. You are moved as a puppet is moved, and because the strings are invisible, you imagine yourself dancing by your own will. If this shocks you, good. You must be shaken out of your polite acceptance of your own sleep. But shock alone is not enough. You need clarity. You need to understand how your inner machine functions if you are to have any chance of stepping beyond it. Look closely. Your being is organized around three great centers of function. There is your intellectual center, the one that thinks, analyzes, compares, justifies, speculates. It produces words like a factory produces smoke. There is your emotional center, the one that feels attraction and repulsion, joy and boredom, affection and resentment, subtle moods and sudden storms. And there is your moving instinctive center, the one that moves your body, regulates your breathing, digests your food, drives your car, types on your phone, reacts with trained movements faster than thought. In you, these three centers are not in balance. For some of you, the head dominates. You live in thought, detached from the body, suspicious of feeling. You analyze your life instead of living it. You are constantly rehearsing future conversations and dissecting past ones. You can explain everything and change nothing. For others, the emotions rule. You are swept by moods, by wounds, by desires. You respond to the world with likes and dislikes, with waves of enthusiasm and crashes of despair. Your thinking is enslaved to feeling. You invent theories to justify whatever you feel in that moment. For others still, the moving instinctive center leads. You are always in motion, restless, fidgeting, eating, working, consuming, escaping discomfort by physical activity or dull routines. You dislike introspection. You prefer to solve everything by doing something, anything. None of these conditions is whole. Each is a partial tyranny. The three centers should be instruments in harmony, thought clear and sharp, feeling deep and sensitive, body obedient and alive. In you, they fight. And because they fight, you are weak. Your best resolutions collapse under emotional storms. Your finest feelings are resuffocated by bodily laziness or tension. Your body suffers from the poisons of unprocessed emotion and frantic thought. This inner disharmony is not accidental. It has been allowed to grow unchecked. No one taught you to observe it. No one insisted that you become responsible for your inner life. So you drifted with the current of your tendencies, calling your imbalance just who I am. I am telling you, it is not who you are. It is the result of long, unexamined habit. What then is to be done? The path is not in abandoning the world, shaving your head, or fleeing to a distant monastery. For you, that would simply become another dream, a new role, a different costume for the same sleeping actor. Your trial is here in the life you already live, in your work, your relationships, your conflicts, your boredom, your distractions. Every ordinary moment is material for this work if you learn to use it. There is no need to seek exotic conditions. You must change the way you are present in the conditions you have. The first instrument is self-observation. This is not simple daydreaming about yourself, nor neurotic self-criticism. It is a precise inner act. You place a small part of your attention on yourself and watch. You watch your thoughts as if they belong to someone else. Now there is a series of complaints. Now there is fantasy about the future. Now there is justification. You watch your emotions. Here comes irritation. Here is jealousy. Here is fear. You watch your body, tension in the jaw, tightness in the chest, restlessness in the legs, the way your hand reaches for the phone again and again without necessity. You do not try to change anything at first. You simply see. For 24 hours, dare to do this. Not perfectly, that is impossible at the beginning, but sincerely, as often as you remember. Set small reminders if you must. Each time, bring a portion of attention back to yourself and say inwardly, I observe. See what is there like a scientist watching a living specimen without sentimentality. You will discover something humiliating. You disappear almost instantly. You remember for a few seconds, then you are gone again, lost in thought, in reaction, in mechanical activity. Hours pass without a single moment of real presence. This is proof of your sleep, not as an insult, but as a fact. This simple act of self-observation is already the beginning of awakening. For the first time, a point appears in you that is not entirely swallowed by your machines. A small, quiet observer stands aside and sees. It is weak, easily drowned, but it is real. This observer is the seed of a higher self. When you say I in your ordinary state, you usually mean whichever fragment is noisy right now, the angry one, the guilty one, the proud one, the afraid one. But as you observe, you begin to sense something else, the possibility of a stable I that is not identical with these fluctuations, but can witness them. To strengthen this, you must add another practice, self-remembering. In self-observation, you watch your inner states. In self-remembering, you include awareness of F yourself in the act of living in the outer world. You are in a conversation, you listen to the other person, you respond, but at the same time, you keep a delicate thread of attention on yourself. You sense your body, your tone of voice, your breathing, your emotional climate. You are both in the situation and observing yourself being in it. Most of the time, you are entirely identified with either your inner world or your outer world. Self-remembering is the art of including both at once. Try it now as you listen to my words. You hear these sentences. Thoughts and reactions arise in you at the same time. Become aware of your body, your posture, your breathing, the tension in your throat or forehead. Notice the emotional tone in you, resistance, curiosity, boredom, hope. Hold it all in the field of your attention for a few seconds. This simple double awareness is the taste of self-remembering. If you persist, something remarkable begins to happen. A new center of gravity forms in you. The scattered eyes, the chaotic reactions, the mechanical routines, they do not vanish, but they begin to be seen from a fixed point. This point, this still observer, is closer to your real self than anything you have known. But understand this clearly. It will not grow by comfort. It will not grow by indulging your habits. It will not grow by seeking pleasant states and calling them spiritual. Real work demands friction. There is a kind of suffering that is useless. The suffering of complaint, the suffering of resentment, the suffering of indulgence denied, then secretly taken. This feeds your mechanical nature and the forces that profit from your unconsciousness. But there is another kind of suffering that is sacred, intentional suffering. Intentional suffering is when you consciously go against mechanical tendencies for the sake of awakening. You want to complain in a certain moment. Instead, you remain silent and observe the inner storm without expressing it. You want to escape a difficult feeling by distraction, scrolling, eating, fantasizing, but you stay with the discomfort, watching it with clear attention. You want to defend your image when criticized, but you accept the blow and study the wounded pride instead. This is not self-harm, it is disciplined sacrifice. You sacrifice the automatic movement in favor of awareness. The energy that would have been wasted in reacting blindly is transformed into fuel for consciousness. Friction generates heat. Here, psychological friction generates light. Every time you refuse an automatic reaction and choose to observe instead, you perform a small act of intentional suffering. Each act, though invisible to the world, has value far beyond your personal satisfaction. It is a tiny revolt against the great machinery of sleep. Sometimes it is necessary to shock yourself more directly. In the midst of an ordinary action, you can suddenly say inwardly, "Stop." You freeze, if only for a second. Your hand stops midway to your pocket. Your thought is interrupted. Your speech pauses. In that deliberate interruption, you look, what was I about to do? What was my state? For a brief moment, you see the chain of mechanical causes that was about to unfold. These deliberate stops, practiced wisely and not as a nervous tic, cut grooves in the surface of your sleep. They create openings where attention can enter. They reveal again and again that you were not here a moment ago, that you were moving by compulsion, not by conscious decision. You can design such shocks. Decide that each time you pass through a door today, you will remember yourself. Each time you sit down or stand up, you will briefly stop and observe. Each time your phone lights up, instead of rushing to it, you will take one conscious breath and sense your body. These small inner tasks are not childish games. They are deliberate disruptions in the flow of your mechanical life. Understand that all this is not only about your personal well-being. You exist within a larger field of forces. Thoughts, emotions, impulses are not merely private phenomena. They are currents in a vast sea. Your automatic negativity, your fears, your unchecked desires, your blind following of influence, these contribute to a collective field that others also breathe in. In your sleep, you are an unwitting participant in dramas far beyond your understanding. You are moved and you move others, all without consciousness. Your suffering, when useless and unconscious, feeds patterns that keep humanity bound, cycles of violence, exploitation, distraction, self-hatred. You weep and rage and despair as if alone, but you are part of a great production in which most actors never read the script. But conscious effort is also food. When you make a real inner effort, when you observe yourself instead of reacting, when you bear an unpleasant truth without fleeing, when you remember yourself in the midst of agitation, you introduce a different quality into this field. It is like a spark of a higher order inserted into the mechanical stream. This has consequences you cannot imagine. Your awakening is not only for you, it has weight beyond your life. There are higher possibilities of intelligence and love-seeking expression in this world. They cannot act directly through machines. They require instruments capable of conscious participation. A human who begins to crystallize a real center of being can become such an instrument, however small at first, however imperfect. The work you do on yourself is preparation for such service. Do not romanticize this. It is not glamorous. It is not accompanied by lights and visions. It begins with very simple, very sober actions. You watch yourself. You remember yourself. You refuse what keeps you numb. You accept discomfort as necessary fire. You study your fragmentation and do not pretend to be one when you are many. Over time, with repeated efforts, something begins to form. Where once there was only a parade of eyes, a more stable sense of I appears. Where once all experiences were swallowed by forgetfulness, certain impressions are held, digested, integrated. where once your thoughts, feelings, and body moved like separate animals, they begin here and there to cooperate under a common aim. This is the slow birth of a higher self, not a fantasy of being spacing, but an actual structure in your being. As this develops, you become capable of making real decisions, not the flimsy resolutions that evaporate at the first gust of emotion, but decisions that are remembered and adhered to. You begin to say, I will, and something in you carries it through despite internal resistance. You start to taste a different kind of freedom, not freedom to do whatever impulse arises, but freedom from being ruled by impulses altogether. From this comes dignity, from this comes responsibility. Do not imagine that this path is smooth. Everything in you that profits from sleep will resist. The false personality will feel threatened as its authority is questioned. It will whisper, this is too harsh, too serious, not necessary. Life is to be enjoyed. Why make it so heavy? It will try to co-opt the teaching into a new self-image. I am someone spiritual now. I know about inner work. Then it will use this image to judge others, to feel superior, to admire itself. You must watch this too. You must be ready to doubt every inner voice that seeks comfort, certainty, superiority. The work I speak of does not inflate you, it humbles you. The more you see, the more you recognize the depth of your sleep, the secondhand nature of your reactions, the enormity of the gap between what you imagine yourself to be and what you actually are. If you remain with this without despair, something true is already growing. Now I will speak to you directly. You cannot continue as you are and expect anything real to change. You cannot add these ideas to your collection of interesting thoughts and remain the same machine, only decorated with new concepts. If you have heard me even partially, then you stand at a narrow doorway. On one side is the life you already know. You wake, you rush, you react, you distract yourself, you forget. You are thrown from mood to mood, from fantasy to fantasy. You make promises you cannot keep. You feel a vague emptiness and try to fill it with experiences, achievements, relationships, substances, images. You blame circumstances, other people, yourself, the world. Time passes. One day the body fails, and the entire structure of fantasies collapses with it. This life is already familiar. You know its taste. On the other side is a path you do not know. It asks more of you than you think you can give. It requires you to renounce your right to sleep, to comfort, to automatic self-justification. It demands that you become a servant of truth in your own being, against your laziness, against your pride, against your fear. It will strip away illusions, including your cherished spiritual illusions. It will take your life as you understand it now and subject it to examination and transformation. In return, it offers something your current life never can, the possibility of becoming a real human, a unified being, a conscious participant in a larger order. This choice is not made once and for all. It must be made again and again, moment by moment. And the first movements are small, almost invisible. From the outside. I will give you 2 tasks, simple in appearance, ruthless in their implications. First, for the next 7 days, practice self-observation. Several times each hour, whenever you remember, turn your attention inward for a few seconds. Notice your thoughts, your emotions, your body sensations, without explaining them, without judging, without trying to change them. Simply see, at this moment, this is here. You may use a small inner phrase if it helps. I observe. Expect to forget, expect long gaps of sleep. Each time you remember, begin again without self-reproach. Your failure is part of the observation. You are learning how little you are present. Second, each day, choose one small act of intentional suffering. It must be something that goes directly against a mechanical habit. For example, you want to check your phone at the first impulse. Do not for 5 minutes and observe the restlessness. You want to defend yourself in an argument. Remain silent for a few breaths and watch the inner protest. You want to escape a boring task. Stay with it for a little longer, observing the resistance. You want to indulge in a familiar comfort. Postpone it and study the craving. Do not choose something heroic and absurd. Choose something exact, concrete, and bearable, but treat it as sacred. In that moment, do not abandon your post. These two tasks, self-observation and small intentional sufferings, are enough to begin the trial. If you take them seriously, you will not need me to convince you of anything. You will see with your own eyes the extent of your automatic functioning, the power of your habits, the multiplicity of your eyes, the tyranny of your false personality. And perhaps you will also feel the first stirrings of something quieter and more real, watching all this from a place not entirely mechanical. Do not speak too much about this to others. Do not make it a decoration for your image. This work belongs inside you. Its first fruits are invisible. Now you have heard. You can return to your ordinary life, interpret these words as interesting philosophy, forget them, and continue to be moved by the same strings as before. No one will stop you. The machinery of sleep welcomes your return, or you can accept that you have been seen, that your inner state is not what you imagined, and that a demand has been placed upon you, not by me as a person, but by something in you that recognizes truth when it hears it. If that part in you answers even faintly, then your trial has already begun. From this moment, you can no longer say you did not know.